Well. Good evening out there, everyone. Good evening. How you doing out there, pirates? We are about to venture
Good.
on another extremely interesting pirate adventure for you guys. We're on a journey to find some actual pirate booty out there in the world. Something that's been missing for hundreds and hundreds of years, and we're going to attempt to find it starting today. This is the beginning. This is only the very beginnings of this journey, I'm sure. So, with that being said, I'll let you guys get in here and we'll listen to a little music in the meantime while we wait. All right. Now that we got some people in here, let's get into what we're going to be talking about. So, there's been basically a reemergence of people trying to solve the Liber Primus, and they're onto there's a whole bunch of researchers that are basically working together to solve this. And I'm gonna bring you guys in, and we're gonna start to do this publicly to try to solve this this puzzle, and the thing with it is, um, basically, lots of people have gotten pretty far along with it, but they thought that maybe the answer was in a certain painting. But I think, and so does like the research that people are doing into it, they think they might have been looking at the wrong painting. We might have possibly identified which painting is the one that would be holding the last key that you would need to solve the Liber Primus, the final steps. And that painting is the one I put here. So if you see this, it's basically the Ghent AlterPiece. And the bottom left painting, which is called the Just Judges, was stolen along with the one that shows John the Baptist. And John the Baptist panel was returned, but the Just Judges panel in the bottom left has never been returned, and a fake copy stands in its place that's been altered on the altar, and is different. So we're going to try to find where in the world is this Just Judges painting, one of the most probably, sought after artworks of all time because of the fact that it's been stolen and never been found. And it's an extremely important piece of art. It's from 1432, I believe it was made. And we'll get into all that. And keep in mind something that has to be considered with all this is, and I'll be keeping the DLive chat open on my phone so I can keep an eye on you guys. But if you guys see prime numbers or anything, or also look for like image sizes that have prime numbers in the size of the image, stuff like that. Like, you have to keep an eye on all those types of things to see if we can't find the next set of clues to lead us further down this. And if you don't know like how difficult these things are to solve, you need to go and look at like the Fright Night one where they were talking about like the 2018 puzzle and like all the things that goes into solving this. So like, I'm going to need your guys' help to get on to like the next piece, and hopefully there's other people still working on this that will help as well, and we'll try to get to where this painting has been hidden in the world. It's a priceless piece of artwork. You talk NFTs are nice, but this is literally something made in the 1400s that is one of the most exquisite pieces of art you'll ever see. The detail on it is unbelievable, and it's missing and been missing since. And it's one of those things that people have searched for throughout the ages. Now, in the research that we have so far, 1539, this cathedral in Ghent, the St. Bavo Cathedral, as a result of the rebellion against Charles V, who was baptized in the church, the old abbey of St. Bavo was dissolved. Its abbot and monks went on to become canons in a chapter that was attached to what then became the Church of St. Bavo. When the Diocese of Ghent was founded in 1559, the church became its cathedral. Construction was considered complete on June 7th, 1569. June 7th is 6-7, a prime. Cicada 3301 is all about prime numbers, as I continue to tell you guys. The cathedral is 89 meters high. 89 is a prime. This cathedral is supposed to be house the head of John the Baptist as well. So John the Baptist was and that's interesting to me because John the Baptist, the panel with him on it, was one of the other ones that was stolen. So it's interesting that this is now where his head is supposed to be. And if we go pull up the Wikipedia on this cathedral, here it is. They built that to exactly 89 meters high. It's named for Saint Bavo. It contains the well-known Ghent AlterPiece. The building is built on the site of the former chapel of St. John the Baptist, primarily of wooden construction that was consecrated in 942 by Transmaros, the bishop of Tournai and Nyon. Traces of a later Romanesque structure can be found in the cathedral's crypt. Construction of the Gothic church began in 1274. Why does that seem like that would be a significant number? Let me know in the chat if that adds into, if 1274 adds into any sort of like prime when you like add it together. Like 13 and 11 would be 3 and 11. I think those are both primes. Subsequent period from 14th through 16th century, nearly continuous expansion projects in the Gothic style were executed on the structure. A new choir, radiating chapels. Expansions of the transepts, a chapter house, nave aisles, and a single tower western section were all added in the 14th through the 16th century. So, around the time that this thing was made, all of those parts were added to this church. 52 is a rebellion against Charles V, who was baptized in the church. The old abbey of St. Bavo was dissolved. Its abbot and monks went on to become canons in a chapter that was attached to what then became the Church of St. Bavo. The Diocese of Ghent was founded in 1559. The church became its cathedral. Construction was considered complete on June 7, 1569. In the summer of 1566, bands of Calvinist iconoclasts visited the Catholic churches in the Netherlands, shattering stained glass windows, smashing statues, and destroying paintings and other artworks they perceived as idolatrous. However, the altarpiece by Van Eyck was saved. And this thing holds a bunch of other extremely famous religious art. Has a Roman crypt with frescoes of religious figures visible. And if anyone out there is in Ghent, if you can go and do like a walkthrough of what's publicly available of this with like a high def camera and send me a video of it, that would be very helpful. Big choir section. Treasury and crypt. The chapel of the holiest important cavalry triptych on display. The 15th century work is attributed to Justus von Ghent. Finally, there's a valuable collection of important liturgical plates, reliquaries, liturgical vessels dating from the 15th century onward. Among the important reliquaries are the head of St. John the Baptist and of St. Macarius. The important collection of hand-embroidered and brocaded liturgical ornaments is widely known as one of the most important of the country, some of which are on display. I wonder if this artwork isn't been brought back and is hidden down below somewhere, like the crypts. Maybe it never left. Maybe it's been there the whole time. I don't know. Idol smashers equal iconoclasts, yes. Papal superstitions, exactly. The cathedral is supposed to house the head of John the Baptist. In the summer of 1566, bands of Calvinist iconoclasts visited the churches and smashed them all up. However, the altarpiece by Van Eyck was saved, like Anifa, as we just read. In 1934, there was a theft of a rare panel. This is in 1934, which is called The Just Judges. The Just Judges is the lower left panel of the Ghent altarpiece, painted by John Van Eyck, or his brother Hubert Van Eyck, between 1430 and 1432. It is believed the panel shows portraits of 7 contemporary figures, such as Philip the Good, possibly the artists Huber and John Van Eyck themselves. The panel was stolen in 1934 and has never been found. So this is the big like, if we can find this is the whole point of doing this like puzzle, in my opinion, is to find the location of the Just Judges painting. This is like what we're searching for, pirates. So let's find this Just Judges painting, and then if we can find that, that will be victory in itself enough for me. If we can just find the location of that, that will be an Indiana Jones-like hunt that we're about to embark on that will be absolutely epic. And let's hope we can at least find the Just Judges thing. If we can find that, then someone can probably, I don't know, maybe figure out from that painting how to solve the Cicada thing, possibly. I don't know. There's some way smarter people out there than me that would be able to use stuff like that. Hitler probably took it, someone says in the chat. Maybe. We'll see. Because there was someone who went looking for it from the Nazi Party, so I don't think they took it since they couldn't find it. So we'll get into that. The panel was displayed at the St. Bavo Cathedral in Ghent, together with the rest of the Ghent AlterPiece, and still it was stolen the night of the 10th April 1934. Possibly the Belge Arsène Gaudiertier. Whatever. Gauthier-Thier, that's what we're going to call him. November 1930, on 25 November 34. The day after the theft, the commissioner of the Ghent police, Antoine Luster-Borgze, was briefly presented at the crime scene before leaving to investigate a theft at a nearby cheese shop. The panel was removed from the frame, apparently with care, leaving other panels undamaged. In the empty place was left a note, written in French, with the words, "Taken from Germany by the Treaty of Versailles," a reference to the fact that the altarpiece, having been removed to Berlin by German forces during World War I, had to be returned in accordance with Article 247 of the Treaty of Versailles. On April 30th, the Bishop of Ghent received a ransom demand for 1 million Belgian francs, to which the Belgian minister refused to agree. A second letter was delivered in May. The Belgian government then commenced negotiations, with the thief arguing that since the lost panel was a national treasure, the diocese's ownership interest was subordinate to that of the nation. Correspondence continued through October between the thief and the government, with the exchange of at least 11 letters. 11. In an act of good faith, the ransomer returned one of the panel's 2 parts, a grisaille painting of Saint John the Baptist. On 25 November 34, the self-proclaimed thief, Arsène Gaudiertier, revealed on his deathbed to his lawyer that he was the only one who knew where the masterpiece was hidden, and that he would take the secret to his grave. Gaudiertier told his lawyer, George DeVos, quote, "I alone know where the mystic lamb is. The information is in the drawer on the right of my writing table, in an envelope marked Mutalit." DeVos found carbon copies of the ransom notes and an unsent note that said, "It rests in a place where neither I nor anybody else can take it away without arousing the attention of the public." DeVos only told the police of Gaudiertier's confession a month later. The police concluded that Gaudiertier had been the thief. There is speculation that the presumed thief, Gaudiertier, could not have acted alone, and that he must have had help inside. Help possibly from one of the 4 custodians of the cathedral. Some people have claimed to know its whereabouts. Extensive searches have been held to locate it, including an X-ray of the whole cathedral to a depth of 10 meters. The panel has never been recovered and is now believed to have been destroyed. Citation needed. To this day, a Ghent police detective remains assigned to the case of the missing panel. So if we can do it, we're doing the job of the Ghent police. And my first reaction was maybe the guy did destroy it. Maybe when they didn't respond to his ransom, he destroyed it. But I don't think so. This is way too important a piece of artwork for this guy to have destroyed the art, especially if they had help from inside. I think one of the people that was inside helped him, and maybe that's how we will figure out where it went. If we can track down those 4 people that could have possibly helped him, then maybe we can find where, maybe one of them will let us know where it is. So let's try to figure out where, let's try to figure out who those 4 people were, and if we can get into contact with them, and if they possibly know where this thing is. That might work. Maybe they want to give up their confession. And here's a photo of it, the original photo. It's supposed to be one of the most detailed paintings of its time. Like, you see that little castle way in the distance? There's supposed to be faces even painted in the windows of the castle. It's supposed to be that detailed. And when they made a copy of it, this is the copy, but it's different. It's completely changed. This is like the Ninth Gate type stuff. You ever seen that movie? This is like that level interesting. Just wanted to put that out there. So this is the copy that's been made, that's put out in the public that people see. And here is the original. So you can see it's a much different, it's a photo of the original. It's a different photo. The people are doing different things. They're, it's a completely different photograph. So it's been altered. So the artwork was stolen by a thief who confessed on his deathbed. He said the artwork would be found in a place everyone would be alerted to if they looked for it. He buried it in the cemetery, or rather in the crypt of a nobleman, hence the image of a dead man. Here you go. Campo Santo, Ghent. The Campo Santo of Ghent is a famous Roman Catholic public burial ground in St. Amansberg. The Campo had been declared a historical monument by the government. The cemetery is located in the district of Damport. On the top of the hill, 19 meters, the Bishop Philips Erard van der Noot erected in the 1720 a chapel in the Baroque style in the honor of Saint Amandus. Saint Amandus. The Roman Catholic burgesses of Ghent favored this place for important burials. Almost all great Catholic families have their graves here. Sited at the top of the hill, 19 meters high, it takes its name from the Roman original. The cemetery was opened on 8 December 1847 by Fr. Joseph van Dam. No, not that Van Dam. A much, much different Van Dam. This guy doesn't have an epic roundhouse kick. The local parish priest, one of the first burials, was that of Countess Marie de Hemptin, or Hemptin. As of 2016, this is still the burial place of the famous Catholic artist, nobility, and politicians from Ghent. And here's all the famous burials that have taken place here. It's up there, 907 Alaska. 131 graves are protected by Belgian government. 131 is, once again, a prime number. So the cathedral is 89 meters tall, and then we find this Campo Santo Ghent has 131 graves. 131 is a prime number. The video and image are current that I'm about to show you. Obviously, as I told you, this is, stuff that people have sent me that we're working on together. So this is show notes that I've compiled with other people that sent it to me. So there's like a whole group of people working on this. The video and images are current, taken with the last 24 hours. What secrets does the cathedral hold? What about this theft of artwork from 1934? The artwork is priceless, 600 years old, missing. Lost artwork. So there you can see the Ghent altar right there. See the Anon that's in Belgium trying to line up these images with the stuff from the puzzle. So like, does this match up? You have the tree, you have the stuff from the Liber Primus there. You have these different artworks. Let me get rid of my face so you can see it all. Isn't that interesting? And you, here, if you put the tree in place of the just judges, or underneath it, so you see there the painting on the wall. One of these Anon dudes went over there, Orion or whatever, and lined up. It looks like the same thing as that. Anon sent the below, looks like the original artwork for Liber Primus in the Ghent, Belgium. So basically, like, if you look at the flicker thing here, it looks like they took a lot of the original artwork for the Liber Primus from this Ghent cathedral. So that might be a clue to where this Just Judges painting is. Like, I think possibly that this Liber Primus thing is leading us towards the location of the Just Judges, right? Now, if we go take a look at the graveyard, the Campo Santo Cemetery is behind the hill where Saint Amand is said to have preached in the 7th century. And you can see here there's a video called A Stunning Graveyard, Campo Santo. The video is 7 minutes, 50 seconds long. It's officially 3:33 p.m. Yeah, exactly, Snapkill. Look at the names on the graves shown dates. Oh, that one, huh? That one right there is weird. It could like literally just be in something like that. Is there more of those ones like that? Where it's big like that? 1876, 1897. It's got the eternal flame of Babylon there on top. The goddess looking Isis type thing there. That looks like a good candidate. It's very Romanesque looking. Ooh, look at that. Bernard de Connick. Had some symbolism all over it. Here's another. Whoa, look at that. I'll let it freeze frame that for a second. Masonic silence symbol. It's another interesting one. Very, very interesting. That was the Anubis thing, the wolf-looking thing. That's what that was. The Campo Santo Cemetery is behind the hill where Saint Amand was said to have preached in the 7th century. Amand has quite a life, big in France and Flanders, said to have quelled a storm and lived to be 90 years old. Amandus, commonly called Saint Amand, was a bishop of Tongeren Maastricht and one of the great Christian missionaries of Flanders. He was venerated as a saint, particularly in France and Belgium. The chief source of details of his life is the Vitae Sancti Amand, a 8th century text attributed to Boudemond. The Vita was expanded by Philippe, abbot of Amand. According to his biography, Amand was born in Lower Poitou, and he was of noble birth, but of age 20, he became a monk on the Île-d'Yeu against the wishes of his family. His father threatened to disinherit him if he did not return home. From there, Amandus went to Bourges and became a pupil of Bishop Ostregis Ilius. There he lived a solitude in his cell for 15 years, living on no more than bread and water. It sounds very Knights Templar-ish-y to me. It's an excerpt from the Vita Saint Amandi manuscript, manufactured in Ghent. Is there available? Saint Amandus and the Serpent from a 14th century manuscript. It's an interesting looking piece of artwork. Known for his hospitality, Saint Amand is the patron saint of all who produce beer, brewers, innkeepers, and bartenders. He's also a patron of vine growers, vintners, and merchants, and of Boy Scouts. Odd. Oh, just the wife calling. Hold on a second. All right, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get back into it. And drunken monks. So I'm still looking at the chat. If you guys have any ideas or anything, just throw them in there as we go through this. Great artwork from the artist Van Eyck, 1432, which is the guy who made this painting that we're looking for. Highlights restored of the panels of the Ghent AlterPiece. The Ghent AlterPiece, painted in 1432 by the famous Van Eyck brothers, ranks among the most significant works of art in the world. The large and complex altarpiece is located in St. Bavo's Cathedral in Ghent, Belgium, but has a complex and impressive history over the centuries. It was dismantled, stolen, moved, and damaged many times over. After World War I, it was reassembled in St. Bavo's Cathedral, but in World War II, the whole altarpiece was taken by the Germans, who hid it in the Tassu salt mine, Austria, among other looted masterpieces. At the end of the war, it was finally returned to St. Bavo's Cathedral after being rescued by the Monuments Men. In the fall of 2012, a restoration campaign of the altarpiece started, supported by the Flemish government and the Fund Valet Lafort. In the fall of 2016, the restoration of the 8 panels of the closed altarpiece was finished. The Ghent altarpiece had been through a fantastic transformation. See here the scene of the Annunciation before renovation and the same panels after treatment. It took 4 years for a team of restorers to remove the varnish and overpaint of the 8 panels, revealing the hidden beauty of the unique painterly qualities of Van Eyck, which had been hidden for centuries. This overpaint covered nearly 70% of the surface. This treatment led to unique, iconic, and aesthetic revelations. The Archangel Gabriel. Gabriel hails Mary's with the words, "Greetings, most favored one, the Lord is with you." Holds a lily in his hand. Symbolizing Mary's virginity. The prophet Zacharias. The Latin name of the prophet is indicated on the frame. The polychromy of the original frames has been revealed after removal of overpaint that covered the stone imitation painted on the silver leaf. You can see people on the streets and stuff. This is how detailed this guy's paintings were. Like, when you zoom in on the paintings and stuff, you see people in the windows, you see people on the streets. These paintings he made are extremely, detailed. Birds in the windows and stuff. In the toilet space, you even see a towel the guy painted, as well as a pot. And look how like detailed that pot is. So like if this Just Judges panel has something hidden in it, you would never know from a photograph. Like you'd have to see the original painting. A basin. You can see like in this image here, the guy even drew like the earpiece that detailed. The book on the Virgin Mary has like the actual words in it. So like there's actual text. And the Holy Spirit is painted as a bird. Where have we seen like a similar type symbol like that before that I just covered in my Rome series, where you always have the raven, which is the opposite of the dove. The dove was what Noah let out, and it went out and came back to the boat. The raven left Noah's boat and never came back, which was Satan, right? And the dove was the sign of peace. It was the other bird. There was two, duality, the good bird, the light bird, the white bird, and the raven was the black bird, the devil, right? Here I am, servant of the Lord. Mary's reply is painted upside down and from right to left so that her acceptance is clear to the Holy Spirit and even more to Micah. Or, because the Illuminati always write backwards and stuff like that, it's mirrored writing. So everyone looking at the painting, it's mirrored writing. You have the donors. You can see how detailed these images are. The saints. This is the John the Baptist panel. The Apostle John. John the Evangelist is shown holding a chalice containing poisonous adders. Image refers to an early legend in which John was said to have drunk from a poisoned cup yet survived. In Portugal 1432, the year the art was created, there was a plague that killed many and was suddenly vanished because of holy water. So in 1432, there was also a plague. So just like we're dealing with now, we had a plague at the time. It was in the year 1432, a year that the whole of Portugal would never forget. The city of Lisbon was struck with a horrible and devastating plague, terribly contagious, spreading by even the smallest object or garment used by a plague victim. Many died throughout the great capital, collapsing everywhere, be it in the street, the market, church, or their homes. The plague claimed its victims so rapidly that many of the dead laid out unburied in the streets, among these being even the doctors and the priests who strove to fight it. Seized with fear, people fled the nation's capital for their lives, and thus sadly spread the deadly disease throughout the entire country. All of Portugal was at the mercy of this unstoppable plague. Devastation reigned supreme, and the situation appeared truly hopeless. At least by human measures, all would have been lost had heaven not inspired one holy bishop to find recourse in a powerful but seldom employed prayer, Jesus' name. Monsignor Andre Diaz, who was among those bravely aiding the plague victims, exhorted his patients to call upon the most holy names of Jesus with confidence. He encouraged this devotion even amongst those still well. Write it on cards, he told people, and keep those cards on your persons, but place them at night under your pillows and place them on your doors. But above all, constantly invoke with your lips and your hearts this most powerful name. His zealous example brought forth comfort and courage to those despairing victims, and those who followed the bishop's wise counsel quickly found a healing place in their hearts. Inspired further, Monsignor Diaz decided to turn his personal vice into a public appeal. Gathering everyone into the church of St. Dominic, the holy prelate exhorted his flock to call upon the sacred name of Jesus. Then taking water, he blessed it in his name and distributed it to the people. He told everyone to sprinkle the holy water on themselves and those afflicted with the disease. The Catholics of the terror-stricken city quickly followed the bishop's advice. The good God richly rewarded their faith, and soon the power of Jesus Christ's name was wondrously manifested to all. For no sooner were the sick and dying blessed with the holy water or prayed for through the holy name, that they rose healthy and healed. And in merely a few days, the plague-filled city was free of the deadly terror. Can you imagine if we said this is what we should do for the corona? How that would go over in our modern day age that's run by these insane psychopaths? There's no way they would allow that. They'd be like, no, that's nonsense. You must wear a mask. It's AlterPiece E that is missing. So AlterPiece E is the Just Judges AlterPiece. E is the fifth letter of the alphabet. 5 is a prime. You can go here and see the Just Judges Ghent AlterPiece E file. Again, which we've gone over. The deep dive on the AlterPiece can be found here. There's a fantastic website all about it. The adoration of the mystic lamb. The theft of the just judges. The just judges, the lower left panel of the Ghent AlterPiece. Judges were stolen in the night of April 10th, 1934 in St. Bavo Cathedral of Ghent. The masterpiece was hidden and took his secret, November 25th, 1934, Arsène Gaudetier revealed on his deathbed that he was the only one who knew where the masterpiece was, and he took the secret to his grave. So this is really interesting. They found all this type of stuff. So there's this list of facts. Which we can go through. First, let's go see. Here's the letters that were written, the demand letters. You can see they're signed DUA. And you can read through these whole things. The original's on the left in French, Français, in French, obviously. Ghost Crab just donated 1 diamond and said, holy water equals Gihon Spring. Interesting. Gihon Spring, huh? That's Gihon Spring for people interested. Let's go back to this for a second. See the letters. This guy left behind a notebook that was found. And in this notebook are all these like images. And I spent like a while the other day looking at these. These to me look like the diagram for buildings of some kind. I don't know what they are exactly, but to me, this looks like an architectural drawing of some kind or some sort of sketch for something of that nature. If you guys out there can decipher, let me know. It's all the stuff's in the show notes, so it's easy for you guys to go and check out if you like. You just scroll down to thejudgesmysticlamb.net, and you guys can find these are in the notebook tab. And there's this draft here. It's all these numbers and stuff he's doing on it. I don't know what this means, but to me it looks like some sort of architectural type drawing, because he's got it all mapped out that way. Like what is he drawing here? This is the guy who stole the artwork. They found this stuff like in his place. Maybe this is a clue to the hiding place of this stuff, like a treasure map. Adoration of the mystic lamb, also known as the Ghent AlterPiece, the Lamb of God, Agnus Dei, or in other languages, Het Lamb Gods or Der Ghenter Altar, is a very large and complex polyptych panel which was used to be in the Just Wit Chapel at the St. Bavo Cathedral, Ghent, Belgium, but was later replaced for security reasons to another part of the cathedral. Commissioned by the wealthy merchant and financier Just Wit, it was executed by Hubert and Jan van Eyck. The altarpiece consists of 12 panels in 2 rows, 8 of which painted on both sides. The upper row on the front shows Christ the King surrounded by the Blessed Virgin Mary and John the Baptist. The insides of the wings represent angels singing and making music. On the outside, Adam and Eve. The lower part of the front panel shows the adoration of the Lamb of God, with the people streaming in to worship, overseen by the dove representing the Holy Spirit. On the weekdays, the panels were closed, showing the Annunciation of Mary and the portraits of Just Wit and his wife Lisbeth Borluut. There used to be a notice on the altar stating Hubert van Eyck, Major quo nemo repertus, greater than anyone, started the altarpiece, but that John van Eyck called himself Arte Secundus, second best in the art, finished it in 1432. The masterpiece of the brothers Van Eyck has been an eventful history. Some panels were once sold, stolen, cut lengthwise, or even kidnapped. In 1919, with the Treaty of Versailles, it regained its final destination, the church, in the meantime renamed as St. Bavo Cathedral after a stay more than a century in Germany. It is a miracle that the whole, with the exception of one copied panel, can be visited in its original state. So you hear beginning of the work, 1417, 1432, paintings finished, placed in St. Jan's Church, 1566, during a Protestant revolt. It's hidden in its tower till 1569. And we get down towards the end here, 1934, the panels of the Just Judges and St. John the Baptist are stolen. 1940, at the German invasion, the painting is brought to Pau, France, where German troops take it away. 1946, the painting returns to Ghent. 1986, it's moved to the Villa Chapel, its present location. Night of April 10th and April 11th, 1934, the panels The Just Judges and St. John the Baptist were stolen after negotiations with an unknown DUA. The panel St. John the Baptist was recovered end of May. The Just Judges remain missing. The art robbery of 1934 reflects a turbulent time climate. The 30s begin with the economical depression that comes from the U.S. The position of the Belgian industry staggers and the unemployment assumes vast proportions. No government is able to improve the situation. The upheaval plays into the hand of the extreme right wing and makes the establishment capsize. In 1934, the crisis came to a head. On February 18th, the country woke up with the start of the message of the strange death of King Albert I. at the deserted rocks of the Marches les Dames. A couple of weeks later, two spectacular bankruptcies rocked the foundation of the political world. On March 28th, the Socialist Bank of Labor had to close its counters. Thousands of little savers are the victims. Also, the General Bank Union, the biggest Flemish bank, has suffered enormous losses and threatens to sweep the Belgian Farmers Union along. The individual seeks protection, comfort, or diversion in mass events, and the spectacle shown in cinemas and the radio programs of the new national broadcasting system. The feeling of despair takes place, also for the church bizarre forms. In 32-33, the country is flooded with a wave of apparitions of Mother Mary, Ao and Buarang. They attempt masses of pilgrims and create flood of devotion and mysticism. The theft of the two panels of the unquestioned of the masterpiece of the mystic lamb is the final attack on hierarchy and legal order. If this criminal act was not put in the shade by the threat of a Holocaust. Alarm in the cathedral. In the early morning of 1934, the second sacristan of Ghent St. Bavo Cathedral was terror-struck. In the left wing of the closed mystic lamb altarpieces, two panels are missing. Because of the opening, he discovers a bright green and red of the middle panel that represented the adoration of the Lamb. Both panels are painted on oak and have the following dimensions. Height, 149 meters, width, 555 centimeters, and thickness, 5 millimeters, without the parquetage at the back. At 8:35, Sacristan Van Bolsum and Canon Van de Gun, a custodian of the art collection of the cathedral, informed the police of the theft. The chief of police, Pat Jean, of the 1st Police District, makes the first enactments on the spot. The public prosecutor is notified. The same day, the theft is passed on to Scotland Yard and the main police in the services in Europe. There is also a special edition of the Belgian Central description paper. The first missing request mentions only one panel, more often made mistake because the two panels once formed the front and back of the single panel, but were separated by the Germans in 1894. The news traveled fast in the city. Immediately there's a flood of comes to the spot, but returns empty-handed because they think it is impossible under circumstances to start a thorough investigation. The next day, moldings and plaster are made of the damage on the window of the painting. However, those conclusive pieces will not be kept for 60 years. The condition of the chapel can only be deducted from press photographs and articles in newspapers which report eagerly about the theft. The police and press receive plenty of leads about suspicious persons or situations. On May 1st, 34, Monsieur Copieteres, Bishop of Ghent, receives a pale green envelope of the most standard make. With this, a letter that seems to deserve more attention than all the other letters with alleged information or threats. The author, who signs with GUA, demands 1 million francs ransom. Altogether, he sends 13 letters to the bishop, who is supposed to answer in the columns Avis Individuels of the Brussels liberal newspaper La Dernière Heure. The diocese passes all of the letters on to the public prosecutor. They do not come in agreement about the ransom. The judicial authorities want all costs catch the offenders. The diocese declares themselves rather prepared to raise the ransom. The 13th letter was posted on October 1st. No other DUA letters will follow. We soon know why. You can read those 13 letters here. Third letter is the deposit received at the luggage office at the railway station of Brussels North. There was great tension with the chief of police, Lusterborg, accompanied Canon Standard and some police officers of Brussels Federal Police, received a package wrapped in black cloth with the size of the panel. When it opened carefully at the end of Brussels, at the court of Brussels, one discovered under a thin brown paper the undamaged grisaille of St. John the Baptist. The panel was taken secretly to the Episcopal Palace of Ghent, and they agreed to keep silent about the return of the panel. The railway station employee Alex Poussant declared that unknown who had deposited the board was about 50 years old, but could not describe the person in detail. The Fourth letter specifies the ransom for the just judges has to be delivered to priest Melupas of St. Lawrence Parish in Antwerp. Why specifically to him, there's no logic explanation for this, but we see that a close relative of the presumed blackmailer lived in the neighborhood and had a shop there. The package that the court gave to priest Melupa some days before the collection contains, instead of the demanded million, only 2 notes of 10 and 5 notes of 1 francs, of which the numbers have been noted down carefully. With the 25 francs there is a letter, in which demanded the amount and procedures totally changed. In the afternoon of June 14th, a taxi driver rings the door of the vicarage priest of Melupas at the Marc Gravielle. In exchange of a torn piece of newspaper, he accepts the package and crosses slowly the street to the waiting car. The housekeeper of the priest sees someone in the back of the car whose glasses reflect in the sun. On 25th, 1934, there's a political meeting in the Hall of Holy Mary in Derdemorn. Arsène Gautier there. One of the speakers had a stroke. He transferred with all speed to the house of the brother-in-law in Derdemorn. Face to face with his death, he was able to reveal to an agent, lawyer Georges de Vos, that he was the only one who knew the hiding place of the missing just judges. House of the deceased Devois finds in a drawer the damaging documents, the duplicates of all type threatening letters, a 14th handwritten unfinished letter. All these documents are unclosed in the envelope with the title Mutia Lit. There's also a deposit received at the luggage center of the railway station of Ghent St. Peter's, where the typewriter is found. The typewriter with which the threatening letters to the diocese are written, a portable royal hired at Uriel, a shop in the Vlaanderstraat, in the immediate surroundings of the St. Bavoil Cathedral in Ghent. Furthermore, at the house of Gaudierter, they also find a number of strange drafts, which can be a clue to the hiding place, as well as 3 keys. A key to the garage where he stations his car, a key to the safe at the Credit Anversios in Ghent, which does not contain anything important, and a small key that will only be identified much later as one of the entrances to the rood loft of St. Bavoil Cathedral. Seeing the nature of the keys, they can also be used at other places. Lawyer DeVos informs the office of public prosecutor immediately, but for some obscure reason, the public prosecutor decides to keep the investigation secret. The direct witness of Gaudierter's last moments, lawyer Georges de Vos, Dr. Roman de Cook, and Father Libertus Born are not heard by the court. That is the reason why several versions of Gaudierter's last words are going around. Only on May 9th, 1935, almost 6 months after his death, the public prosecutor makes some details public by first notice board. A premium of 25 francs is promised to whom can give a lead to the revelation of the missing panel. Shortly after, some newspapers published the name and portrait of the deceased blackmailer. This guy's like a career criminal, stole it. Neither a thorough search at Gaudierter, the house, neither a thorough house search at Gaudierter nor the interrogation of his widow brought anything. However, after the publication of some important testimonies appear, there is a statement of a lady who had walked past the cathedral the night of the theft together with her sister and a niece. She remembers almost the complete number plate of a car that was parked at the corner of Lange Kruisstraat. She was surprised to have seen a pencil of light in the Vide Chapel. The car had not been tracked down, apparently. Also, the bright servant of Gaudierter's understands now why her employer was so angry when she caught him at the end of May 1934 while wrapping up a long black object. There's also the question of complicity. There is an investigation against Achiel de Swaif, an acquaintance of Gaudierter from Ghent, who died shortly after him, and against Oscar Levens, a mysterious man who lived in a villa in Wetteren and was supposed to be a spy during the First World War. During a house search At the house of Gordiater, some documents are found could be related to the theft, the extortion, or the hiding of the panel. You can take a look at these documents here, and I showed you guys those already. This guy made a copy of it. September 1939 to the middle of 41. Well, actually, let's read about the German investigation. From the beginning of the Second World War, Oberlieutenant Kohn, who was sent to Belgium by Goebbels, showed great interest in the Ghent altar, more specifically in the theft of April 1134. He finds Max Winders as an ally, who is an Antwerp architect and advisor of the General Board of Art of the Ministry of Education. Kohn is surprised not to find testimonies of the direct witnesses of the death of Gordiater in the judicial file. There he decides to interrogate himself Dr. de Kock, who assisted Gordiater medically, Father Libertus, who was there as priest, and lawyer De Vos, who shared Gordiater's secret. Also the church council in St. Bavo Cathedral and relatives of Gordiater he approached again. At the end, he also contacts the widow of Gordiater, which seems to pass more smoothly than with the first investigators. The German officer searches big parts of the cathedral without any result. During the war, 2 important witnesses decease. Lawyer De Vos, who has become a senator in the meantime, dies in 1942 in a cinema in Ghent, and the widow of Gordiater dies in 1943 in St. Nicholas. She blames the loss of her only child and the loss of her reputation, the lack of indiscretion of that lawyer. The replacing work. From September 1939 till the middle of 41, painter and restorer Joseph van der Vecken works on a copy of the Just Judges on a 200-year-old cupboard shelf. It becomes an unlikely good replacement for the lost panel. Some details show, however, clear differences with the original. For one, the face of one of the judges is no longer hidden behind a fur coat. 2. Another face represents now the profile of King Leopold III. 3. The ring in one hand of one of the original judges has disappeared as well. I wonder what that was on that ring. Only in 1959, van der Vecken receives a compensation of 225 francs with the subsidies of the city, province East Flanders, and the Belgian nation. So did they bury their loot? Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum theft. In the early morning hours of March 18th, 1990, 13 works of art were stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. Guards admitted 2 men posing as police officers responding to a disturbance call, and the thieves tied up the guards and looted the museum over the next hour. The case is unsolved. No arrests have been made and no works have been recovered. The FBI has valued the haul at $500 million, and the museum is offering $10 million for reward for information leading to the art's recovery, the largest bounty ever offered by a private institution. The stolen works were originally procured by art collector Isabella Stewart Gardner and intended for a permanent display at the museum with the rest of her collection. Among them was the Concert, one of only 34 paintings by Johannes Vermeer, thought to be one of the most valuable unrecovered paintings in the world. Also missing is The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, Rembrandt's only seascape. Other paintings and sketches by Rembrandt, Degas, Manet, and Flinck were stolen, along with a relatively valueless eagle, finial, and Chinese goo. I highly doubt it was a valueless eagle to them. Experts were puzzled by the choice of artwork since more valuable works were left untouched. The collection and its layout are permanent, so the empty frames remain hanging both in homage to the missing works and as placeholders for their return. The FBI believes the robbery was planned by a criminal organization. The case lacks strong physical evidence. The FBI is largely dependent on interrogations, undercover informants, and sting operations to collect info. They have been focused primarily on Boston Mafia, which was in the midst of an internal gang war during the period. One theory is that gangster Bobby Donati organized it to negotiate for his capo's release from prison. Donati was murdered a year after the robbery. Other accounts suggest that the paintings were stolen by a gang in Dorchester, though they deny any involvement even after a sting operation put some in prison. All have denied any involvement or have given leads that were fruitless. Despite being offered reward money, reduced prison sentences, and even freedom if they gave information that led to the recovery of the art. But you can see the paintings just vanish. So we're dealing currently with the Brood X cicada outbreak. And this is the Brood X cicada special beginnings of the search for the Ghent AlterPiece. Brood X in the Great Eastern Brood is one of 15 broods of periodical cicadas that appear regularly throughout the eastern United States. It has the greatest range and concentration of any of the 17-year cicadas. The brood's first major emergence after 2021 is predicted to occur during 2038. So the first major emergence after 2021. It's out there now. They're landing on Joe Biden. They're attacking David Hogg. It's getting absolutely hilarious. The 2021 emergence. The brood's 2021 expected emergence is in 15 states. Delaware, Illinois, Georgia, Indiana, New York, Kentucky, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Michigan, as well as in Washington, D.C., began in April. Emergent cicadas were observed in western North Carolina during mid-April. Although a cold snap delayed emergences, more of the insects appeared as temperatures rose into the 60s. By May 6, large numbers of the insects had emerged there, while other numbers had been reported in Maryland near Washington, D.C., and on the Tennessee-North Carolina border. June 8th, while the press corps was preparing to cover Joe Biden's first trip abroad of his presidency, its chartered plane was grounded at Washington Dulles International Airport in Virginia after cicadas clogged the plane's auxiliary power unit. The next day, Biden swatted a cicada that landed on his neck while he standed on the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland before boarding Air Force One to begin his flight in England. That's so funny. So it shut down. The cicadas shut down his plane, and then one landed on his neck. So the thief was a painter, booker, organist, sacrosanct, and frustrated amateur detective.
Arsène Gauthier was born in Led, in Belgium, on the 23rd of December, 1876. His parents, Emile and Maria, were fairly well off, and they had a total of 12 children.
You guys can go watch this video. It's called The Man Behind the Ghent AlterPiece Mystery. And interestingly, the video is exactly 1551 seconds long. So there you go. A little bit more number and primes for you. Anyways, you guys can go watch this interesting bit on the man behind the mystery. And even Goebbels went looking for this thing. The Ghent AlterPiece, the truth about the most stolen artwork of all time. Napoleon robbed it, Calvinists nearly burned it, the Nazis were desperate to own it, and part of it has been missing for 80 years. Noah Charney on the world's most tangled art heist. So you can go and look through all this. Talk about the Monuments Men and a whole bunch of other stuff that we've already talked about. So there you go. I'll scroll down to the part about Goebbels going for it. Or was it? He flew to Germany and tracked down Heinrich Kohn's widow. She allowed him to copy Kohn's 176-page file in his search, which showed he was convinced the panel was simply hidden inside the cathedral. On May 22nd, 1942, Cohen's assistant had told the bishop that the Germans were going to close the cathedral to search for it. The bishop told him to tell the then canon Gabriel von de Gain, who had also kept the painting safely hidden during the First World War, that the Germans would try and seize it. So von de Gain arranged for the whole altarpiece to be smuggled out of the cathedral by night, hidden in a junk cart, and secreted in private homes. I mean, this thing's had quite a history. So, there you got it, everybody. There's the beginning of the mystery. There's what we know so far. This is where we are. And we'll see if we can't figure out where this thing went. So now we know who stole it. We have an idea where it might be. Maybe it's in that cemetery. Maybe they buried it in that cemetery with 131 graves. Maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe there's a hint in that cemetery that will lead us to the next location where it might be. So we'll keep an eye out. We'll keep researching. If you guys have any ideas, please feel free to hit me up on Twitter or email or, the other ways to reach me. So just hit me up and we'll keep doing this together and trying to figure out this very, very interesting mystery. And I have a feeling there's going to be some more clues and things coming in the next few days. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hope you had a wonderful afternoon adventure here, a little pirate adventure as we searched through the digital sea for this lost treasure from a distant time. Anyways, thanks, and if you're watching this on... That's right, I forgot to tell you guys. Go and subscribe to the new YouTube channel. Let me pull it up for you guys real quick. So I'll be putting this episode out on YouTube, but we do have a new YouTube channel, everybody. Just made it today. So let me grab the link for everyone. It's called The Ghost of Captain Frost. So we're now the Ghost of Captain Frost on NemTube. Which I know you guys are like, oh, how dare you? Don't even watch it on YouTube. Just go over there and subscribe on YouTube to help me build the channel back up. Okay, and here's it for all my Rockfin peeps. What's up, Rockfin peeps? There you go. Go over there and subscribe on YouTube just so we can build the channel back up. Okay? And I will keep the content that goes on YouTube very, very safe so that we can bring people from YouTube back over. But you can see I'm putting like my documentaries up there on YouTube. So Enter the Matrix, the New World Order Global Surveillance State documentary is premiering right now over there. So if you want to watch the tail end of that, that'd be a good time to go and watch that. And you guys can subscribe to the new YouTube channel, The Ghost of Captain Frost. And don't tell Susan. Just don't tell Susan. That's the #1 rule of the new YouTube channel. You're not allowed to tell Susan Wojcicki that I'm back on YouTube, okay? So, with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And as always, there's a link to the Hive, and everything is here in the show notes that we covered tonight on the Hive. So go check it out, hive.blog/@TitusFrost. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.